One of my Airbnbs just got foreclosed on today, and all my other ones are losing money.
Airbnb wonders why they're going out of business, and I'm sitting here trying not to be annoyed.
The realtor said, "I've never seen this many vacation rentals come on the market for sale. Every day someone is asking us to list their Airbnb for sale."
So today we're going to take a deeper dive into Airbnbs in 2025. We've talked about this a little bit when it comes to the course sellers, the current real estate market, and some of the horror stories when it comes to landlords and the renters. But I think it'd be interesting to go over it a little bit more now. So we have a lot to go over today. The prices compared to hotels now, of course, the grifters trying to sell you a passive income dream, the terrible condition some of these Airbnbs are in, the host misrepresenting their properties on Airbnb just to get the sale, and on the other side, the terrible condition some of these customers will leave these homes in, absolutely destroying it, making this whole thing not worth it in the end. We also have some comments from you guys from previous videos, so if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's just start off with a few customer stories.
I will never understand why people book Airbnbs instead of a hotel. So you're telling me not only am I going to have cameras watching me, but then I have to clean up the whole house and I got to roll out the trash bins at the end of the stay?
Airbnb wonders why they're going out of business, and I'm sitting here trying not to be annoyed. So I have booked a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom villa, and in the description it says the entire property to yourself, the amenities to yourself. So I just arrived at this villa, and it's like a duplex situation, like an upstairs downstairs situation with like a shared pool, which is like, I specifically specified that that's not what I wanted.
My Airbnb host is harassing me to delete my review, but I didn't even leave a bad review, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not even the kind of person that would normally leave reviews, but I checked out of this Airbnb yesterday, and since then I've already gotten like 5 messages from this host being like, please review me, please review me. So I did, and shocker, be careful what you wish for. I was honest. Oh my God, I gave a 4-star review overall because it was a nice stay, but not worth 5 stars.
So these are just some of the problems you'll come across if you look this up online. The first clip, having to do chores before you end up checking out, which overall wouldn't be that big of a problem if you weren't also charged a cleaning fee when you're already cleaning yourself. The second clip, misrepresenting the property, saying that you'd have everything to yourself, which overall would demand a higher fee on Airbnb, but that was a complete lie. It was a duplex. And of course, the last one, the constant emails or text messages asking for a 5-star review non-stop. We can look at a couple of the comments from these clips. Airbnb was legit when it first started, now not so much. They're more expensive than hotels with a lot less of the guarantees. Airbnb are why rents are so high in so many cities, and we're definitely going to see some of that in a little bit. But we have another experience from one of you guys. Count me as one of those previous Airbnb users who no longer uses them. They were great at first, but the fees add up more than the perks do. Most hotels offer a free breakfast, clean up room, and don't make me do chores before I leave for the day. And because of these reasons, we're starting to see news articles like this.
I just said millennials and Gen Z were moving away from Airbnb, and now they have just confirmed it themselves. Airbnb has hit a major speed bump in demand. It's been doing the worst that it has since 2020 during the lockdown. For the 3rd quarter straight, Airbnb gave a disappointing forecast, and it warned Wall Street that demand is slowing. Airbnb competitor Bookings Holdings is saying that it's seeing consumers opt for lower star hotels and shorter stays when they do book. So you know what that means. When more people start to go for lower star hotels, it's another sign of the downgrade economy, where consumers under pressure choose the cheapest option possible. Airbnb trends are playing out pretty much how I outlined. When it comes to singles and couples travel, people are opting out of Airbnbs and going for hotels.
I would still say one of the benefits is that if you're traveling as a group, you renting out a really big house for the weekend and splitting the cost is probably cooler to do than renting out a block of rooms at a hotel. But of course, in this economy, people wanting to save some money. And like you said, if it's just 1 or 2 people traveling, many hotels are marking down their rooms to compete with Airbnb and overall giving you a better deal.
Airbnb now has so many problems that I don't know if they will ever be able to recover. We are seeing the crash of Airbnb. Now, some of these problems include the insane fees that add up to more than the cost per night and the negative effect that it is having on the current housing crisis. There's even horror stories of tenants moving in and then staying and squatting and refusing to pay rent, refusing to leave the property, and Airbnb and the government is doing nothing. So Airbnb is truly a mess. It is not affordable anymore, and a lot of these places aren't even that nice. You used to go to Airbnbs and it would be like a cute little house. You would see a lot of character. It'd be fun. Now I walk in and they're just like sad, depressing apartments with IKEA furniture. It's like I would much rather be in a cute little hotel. I would much rather be in a La Quinta versus this. And the fact that Airbnb is adding their own fees on top of the fees that they are already taking from your nightly stay is just insane, which is probably why the hosts are now hiking up all their cleaning fees, because that gives them a little extra cushion to make up the money that they're losing from Airbnb taking a huge cut. But it results in it being a terrible experience for the consumer. I am done. I'm telling you guys, I hate Airbnb now.
So I think one of the big reasons Airbnb went from being a cute little house with a lot of character to just a plain old modern day gray-toned flipped house is a lot of the influencers and gurus we've seen online with their Airbnb empire, making $20,000 a month passively with barely any effort, blah, blah, blah. We all sat on the internet and social media for almost 2 years straight in 2020. People are trying to find ways to make extra money. Tons of people buy property to rent it out. It becomes extremely oversaturated and very plain looking. Not to mention the fact a lot of these places become unprofitable, so we start seeing clips like this.
This is a trend that we're about to be seeing a whole lot more of. This guy, Mark Jenny, tweeted out last week that he was speaking to a realtor in Arizona, and the realtor said, "I've never seen this many vacation rentals come on the market for sale. Every day someone is asking us to list their Airbnb for sale." I think there's a few different reasons for this. First, the space is completely saturated at this point. So many people have purchased Airbnbs or done Airbnb arbitrage, so there's way more supply than there is demand at this point. Also, obviously during a recession, there's going to be way less discretionary income for the average individual, so they're going to be traveling less, staying in Airbnbs less. Ultimately, I actually think this is going to be really healthy for the industry and for the consumer that uses Airbnb. I think it's going to force hosts to maintain a much higher level of customer experience, and ultimately, I think that's going to be really healthy for everybody involved.
So I do understand what he's trying to say, and I agree, because if they're listing the property, it's clearly not profitable, but it doesn't take away the fact that there are more and more problems happening all over the world as well when it comes to Airbnb. Many places, many cities are banning it entirely. I mean, this one is just the most recent story in the news.
Off to Spain, where you might have to book a hotel instead of an Airbnb. The Spanish government has ordered a crackdown on the rental site to remove more than 65,000 property listings. It's down to officials not knowing whether they're owned by an individual or a company, and some failing to provide the right details. While it's not good for holidaymakers, it's welcome news for locals. There's been massive anti-tourism protests in the country over rising rents and a lack of affordable housing. Politicians say they're done protecting those who make a business out of the right to housing and have immediately removed nearly 6,000 Airbnbs. A decision Airbnb says it will appeal, as the company doesn't believe those in charge have the authority to make rulings over short-term rentals. And it's not just Spain who aren't happy with the company. New York, Berlin, Amsterdam and even London have restrictions on some short-term rentals. And last year, Barcelona announced plans for a total ban on them by 2028.
So there are many people all over the world that think that this is a good thing. My only worry is that hotels are currently becoming a better deal to compete with Airbnb and kind of try to put them out of business. And let's just say that they're successful and the only place you can really get is a hotel. Wouldn't they end up jacking up the prices once again and make that not worth it either? So I mean, it is a tricky situation in my opinion, but we have another comment from you guys. Airbnb today. Stay 3 days in this miraculously average house for only $89 a day. You must take out the trash, clean all the dishes, clean counters, leave nothing in the fridge and make the bed. And then there's also a mandatory $400 cleaning fee. Let alone the fact that there are so many of these listings that do not have updated photos. They're taken in the best light at the best time of year with a fresh coat of paint and everything squeaky clean. You end up booking it as soon as you get there. You basically got catfished.
I'm frustrated with Airbnb. The last 3 that I've gone to have sucked. Like, as the user, it's been horrible. You know, I've been gaslit. I've been legit gaslit. Like,
well, that's why hospitality, I think, is doing well now.
Yeah.
People are just like going back to the hotels.
This kills me. I do the first Airbnb, I get totally bamboozled because the photos look sick and I get there and it's not. And then I do this whole thing on Instagram like, dude, Airbnb just did me dirty. And then I get hit up in the comments, bro, you got to make sure it's a superhost. Make sure it's a superhost. Okay, bet. I'll make sure it's a superhost. Guess what happened to the next superhost I got? Freaking got me again. What is it? What do they say?
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me.
It's shame on me now, dude. Oh, I'm done with it. Done. I'm back in the...
You're back in the hotel scene?
I'm back in the hotels.
Some of the comments here, hotels are where it's at. You got to stay in a room that they clean for you every day. Go do what you want at your destination and come back. Also, Airbnb is constricting the housing market and keeping young people from owning homes. I think Airbnb has made hotels clean up a lot of their bad business practices. It's definitely cleaner in hotels now, and that's what I was saying earlier. I'm just worried if Airbnb and similar companies completely collapse, then the hotels will have a monopoly again, and the same problems will start rising up. Another comment from one of you guys, Airbnb is a failing business because they completely changed their business model. When Airbnb first started, it was, hey, rent out your son's bedroom now that he's off at college and Beyonce's in town. You can make an extra 50 to 75 bucks. Nowadays, it's a condo rental site. That's not what we wanted. We already could rent a condo. We wanted to spend very little money to have a place to sleep for a night or two, cheaper than a hotel. And it really has turned into an investment, another vessel to make a whole bunch of money. I'm not saying that overall that's a lie. I think in 2025, it's very oversaturated, so it's difficult to make that kind of money, but many were sold that dream and it's just not living up to that expectation.
Get an Airbnb, they said. You will make money, they said. No, you actually won't. You know why? Because you're gonna have people that end up staying there. Tell me why I had this guest that stayed and then literally lied to Airbnb, said that they didn't stay. So they got to stay for free. They got everything reimbursed. Not only that, they stole a bunch of like they literally stole a bunch of shit. And then they gave a bunch of 1-star reviews, and because of that, my Airbnb was blocked for the whole month of July, and like, not because of that, I can't even pay the rent for it, because it was blocked. And then when I called Airbnb back and forth multiple times, they never solved my problem. They said they'd call back in 15 minutes, and then they wouldn't. So, yeah, if you're gonna make one, just be wary of that.
And I will say, this type of clip isn't the only one you're going to see if you look this up online. Many people are saying that it's not worth it anymore. Their entire homes are getting destroyed. I mean, this one is just insane.
I rented my house out on Airbnb, and this is what happened. 29th of January, I got a same-day booking request. I was super excited because I actually needed the money, but this is what happened. You can see they started damaging a lot of stuff, took some of my cushions, threw my router down, my home security, and my Amazon Alexa, broke my TV screen, punched holes in the walls, broke my shelf, broke my table, bought a new one, and chairs. As you can see, there's still tags on them. Ruined all the carpet, stole my comforter.
I cut it off there. He keeps going with all the stuff that happened just to make a little bit of extra money on Airbnb. Overall, definitely not worth it. I mean, there's another one where a whole bunch of people threw a party and ended up hitting the air conditioning unit outside, damaging it, costing thousands of dollars, along with, again, wrecking the entire house. So even with going to Airbnb, showing all the problems that happened, even possibly taking the customers to court to repair everything in the house and recoup the money, this definitely doesn't seem like a passive income stream or really an income stream at all. But you are still going to see tons of videos like this online trying to sell you their courses, their entrepreneurship. I mean, there's a million different buzzwords when it comes to this, when overall these people are making most of their money off of you buying these courses.
For anyone that enrolls in the Academy, it's so much more than just a course. Our Academy has our course, which will teach people how to get started in Airbnb A through Z and teach them how to host on the Airbnb platform. But alongside the course, the Academy has coaching. There are student advisors to guide our students, coaches who do calls, and there is a community behind every single one of our students.
So now it's not even a course, it's a community, it's a lifestyle. We got the coaches, all of this yada 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 buzzwords left and right. Networking, coaching, community. I mean, it just keeps going on and on. All in an industry that I've already said is oversaturated. If you already have a completely paid off second property in an area that's pretty desirable for vacations, then you could probably make a decent amount of money on Airbnb. But these types of flips where you're putting maybe a few percent down on a property just to try to turn it around and make money on Airbnb, with of course very high property values to begin with in 2025, same goes for the interest rate sitting at around 7%. It's just becoming increasingly unlikely that these courses will help you at all. But maybe you think a lot of these course videos are from years ago when everybody was doing the Airbnb arbitrage and whatever, but great news, I launched my Airbnb course. You want to start an Airbnb but don't know where to begin? This $25 course will save you months of trial. Uploaded on June 16th, 2025. And I know we're specifically talking about Airbnbs right now, but when it comes to any of the rental property real estate game right now, there are so many different videos and people trying to tell you how easy it is to just put a down payment on a property like a 6-unit apartment complex we're going to see in a second and just start raking in the money.
Should you get a 6-unit apartment complex for $370? It has 12 bedrooms and it was just posted 1 hour ago. It generates $7,000 a month in rental income from Section 8 tenants. $7,000 a month, that's $85,000 a year in passive income.
So I think the top comment on this video really does sum it up. Keep in mind there's a reason for the sale. The owners themselves don't think it's worth it. Because if you're getting $7,000 in passive income every month and it was only listed for $370,000, I mean, it's cheaper than the average price of a single family home right now. It's clearly a lot more work than it looks like, because if it was really that easy, it would never be for sale. We have another comment from one of you guys. This is why you couldn't pay me to be a landlord or renting out Airbnbs. I've said the same thing. I get it. If you really know what you're doing, there are so many people who are multi-millionaires from real estate. Whether it is being a landlord or renting out their properties on places like Airbnb, I just see so many different issues all across the internet, and me not being too interested in real estate in the first place, I just don't want to be a part of it at all.
Get an investment property and rent it out. They said, well, you know what? The house has been completely destroyed. Holes through every wall. There's a couple of bedrooms that are good, but as you can see, the door's been ripped off this bedroom and it's in half. Just a few more pictures of the kitchen and yeah, holes in the wall. So there's the door again.
So yeah, I'm just personally going to sit out of the whole rental game. This kind of stuff seems like an absolute nightmare to me. But on the flip side, you're going to have the same influencers and gurus just start throwing out insane numbers for some of these properties, making it look like it's too good to be true.
I own 6 Airbnb properties, and in 2022, they brought in $899,671. And here's an exact breakdown of each property and how much cash flow or profit they made and what the total profit was for the year.
So at almost $1 million in cash flow from 6 properties. To you and me on the surface level, that doesn't seem like too much. It's not like he's got 25 different properties and has to go all over the place cleaning and booking everything, doing work 24/7. 6 doesn't seem like that much work. So these types of videos become very appealing, and he starts going through the cash flow and what the actual profits were, house by house, and at the end, the net cash flow is $371,000 apparently. I don't know if it's just the way that I think, but when he said 6 properties at $371,000 in total, my head goes to, well, if I just got a single property, it would net over $61,000 in profit, apparently, which overall is definitely not the case in most situations we're going to see in a second, what the reality is for most people. But surprise, surprise, this is another influencer. I help people acquire their first Airbnb with, shocker, another course to sell. Ready to fast track your success with short-term rental investing? My 7-figure investment strategy revealed. And it's just the same cookie cutter stuff that you've seen on my channel when I show you another guru. So I wonder where he's actually getting his wealth. But we could go over to a realistic Airbnb profit breakdown.
We have cash flowed $3,523 in 8 months owning this Airbnb. Now you might be thinking, well, that ain't that great. You're right, it kind of sucks. I'm in Panama City Beach right now. We're staying in the condo that we purchased earlier in the year. We purchased the condo back in March of this year with the goal to short-term rent it, Airbnb. So we've now had the condo for 8 months, and here's a full cost breakdown. So the sale price was $450,000. We put $125,000 down. We spent $3,306 at closing. We came in here and did some upgrades. Got some new appliances, painted, did a few things just to freshen it up a little bit. And that total was $6,766. So all in all, the out-of-pocket cash we had to invest to get the beach property was $135,072. The mortgage payment on this is $2,163 per month. HOA is $395 a month. Taxes is $338 a month. So our cost per month is $2,893.
So I mean, overall, even with all of his costs, an extra $3,800 would be nice for anybody now in this economy, but a wild difference from the last clip of $300,000+ from just a few properties. Even the guy in this clip said that $3,500 in 8 months really isn't that great for all the work that they actually have to put in, because that passive income dream where you don't actually have to do that much work is exactly that, a dream.
Did people
get into Airbnb thinking it was a passive investment and were shocked with the reality that it actually takes work? Are people tired now? Is their property distressed?
And then they'll buy a vacation rental or they'll buy an apartment building or whatever the thing is. And then within the first 2 years, they're like, damn, I don't like this. This involves people and people are horrible. I don't want to deal with people. This is not what I want to do. I'm going to sell this. So 50% of all of them are sold. What we saw in 2021 was there was a lot of FOMO buying too. So rates at 2%, people were like, man, I've always wanted a beach house and the rates are at 2%. I can kind of swing that payment if I don't rent it, but I'll just throw it on Airbnb because Airbnb was kind of, blowing up at the time too. So everybody bought one. People who had no business investing in real estate, people who have no business running a business, bought them, expecting them to just make money.
And we could take a look at some of the comments from this clip. Airbnb is contributing to the housing issues we have. I wish Airbnb would be outlawed and let people who need homes buy them. I can't wait for Airbnb to totally fail. Taking care of a house takes a lot of work. Coming from the hotel business and into selling real estate, I was shocked at people who thought the vacation rentals would be easy, but that's what they were sold online by tons of these influencers, and that's just not the case now.
One of my Airbnbs just got foreclosed on today, and all my other ones are losing money. The market is over. And now I'm going to need to sell a couple of the houses that I'm up in on equity to cover the loss of the foreclosure, the massive ding to my credit, and all my other properties that are losing money on a monthly basis. The last 3-6 months have really seen a huge downturn, almost straight downturn. And it's honestly just not the market that it used to be. It's just the way it is. I'm going to take that money, go into stocks, go into some sort of long-term investment. That is just a much safer play.
Some more comments very similar to what we've already seen. We've stopped using Airbnb because of the ridiculous fees. Cleaning fees are ridiculous. I'd rather stay at a hotel, don't have to pay that. Possibly because Airbnb owners got greedy, $56 a night, $800 cleaning fee. Almost every single comment is the same. Airbnb has become a scam. It's more expensive than a hotel. The rules and the fees are ridiculous, plus it's not even safe. So I think the overall sentiment is that it's just not worth it anymore. And to finish off this video, we have something that's kind of similar, especially when we're talking about the gurus trying to sell you a lifestyle, which ends up being their course, and that's how they actually make money. But talking about these gurus, most of the people Airbnb a fancy place for a week, hire a camera crew, and film 3 months of content trying to sell you a course. They'll also rent a Lamborghini for a couple of days just to try to sell you something. And we have an example right here of exactly this happening.
I had a famous YouTube and TikToker use my Airbnb to try to sell more of their course. So essentially what had happened is this person was staying for about 3 weeks. Now I eventually got this content sent to me by a friend saying, hey, isn't that your property? Now the house is pretty unique. I can tell it's my house, right? And I eventually matched the name on the reservation to this so-called YouTuber as well. Now, pretty much what this gentleman was doing was he was saying, hey, if you buy my marketing or drop shipping, something like that, some digital course, then you can own a property like this. And in other videos, he's saying, this is my property that I paid for by selling XYZ on XYZ. Now, at the end of the day, he was a very good guest. I think it was just him and his cameraman or camera crew, whatever it may entail. He had approximately, I think, 1 million followers throughout all of his platforms. So pretty big name, probably made some good money off of it. But I think I made $17,000 or $18,000 from the 3-week reservation. So I didn't say anything to him. I don't care. He was a very good guest, and that's life, right? But I would say for those buying the course, I don't really know how legit it is. Sorry.
So if this guy was okay paying $18,000 for the property and lying to all of his potential paying customers, how much money do they rake in from these courses? I know I've been talking about gurus like that since basically I started this channel, but apparently it still seems to be going strong, even in an Airbnb market that's definitely on the downturn. So that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.